What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Duel School, where we are looking at the major update to Pokemon Duel of version 6.0. I cannot believe it is finally here. We've been teased about it. We saw silhouettes of Kyurem and black and white Kyurem as well, and as far as like a teaser trailer showing like Pokemon that aren't even in the game yet, like Mega Tyranitar and what I believe to be Mega Aggron as well. So the hype is going to continue even after this update, maybe 6.0.1, etc. from thereon. Who knows what's going to come for sure, but what we do know is what we have right now, which is a brand new Ultra Beast and a new mechanic to the game, which is pretty much changing forms. And it's being teased that more Pokemon in the near future will be changing forms as well. And I believe that's going to be somewhat different compared to Mega Evolution, obviously, because it does have its own type of plate. Anyway, let's get into it because we do have some brand new Pokemon in the game right now, which is what Duel School is all about, where we talk about the newest Pokemon in the game, their new attacks, the abilities as well, how they can potentially fit in the meta, and pretty much what attacks are worth leveling up. So please let me know in the comments what you guys think, what Pokemon are worth running, which you think aren't really too competitive right now. But honestly, I just like to start a conversation in the comments, so let's get to it. Anyway, we have Black Kyurem right here. It is Dragon and Ice type, and it has the ability Terravolt. This Pokemon can only be set as a form in a deck. The effects of abilities of the battle opponent that increase or decrease attack damage are nullified. This Pokemon can MP move over other Pokemon. When this Pokemon is knocked out, it can change form to Kyurem without moving to the PC. If it does, and there are any of your Zekrom that have been excluded from the duel, move one of the Zekrom to the bench. So, if you have Black Kyurem get knocked out, it's not all in all a big terrible thing because Kyurem still gets to be on the field. Zekrom gets put onto the bench. All in all, not the worst thing in the world that can happen to you. There are options to still actually keep your game afloat, I suppose. It does have a 3-star purple fly, as 2 of those actually, size 16 equaling up to 32, which is pretty darn good. And then it has freeze shock doing 140 base damage. The battle opponent becomes paralyzed. If the battle opponent has weight, the battle opponent is knocked out instead of this Pokemon. So if you're able to somehow have a Pokemon on your side of the field that is able to initiate weight onto other Pokemon, your battle opponents that is, then freeze shock can actually be pretty crazy and handy. Fly, again, as I mentioned, equaling up to 32, a small size of 4 dodge, and then it has Fusion Bolt. If this Pokemon is not affected by a special condition, and any of your Pokemon on the field has the Fusion Flare attack, exclude Pokemon knocked out by this attack from the duel. So you're knocking out Pokemon somewhat easily so long as they have weight with Freeze Shock, or you're excluding them somewhat easily with Fusion Bolt. A little situational because you need to have a Pokemon on the field with Fusion Flare, which I believe would be Reshiram if I'm not mistaken. So again, a little situational, but obviously it wants you to run the Twin Dragons in your deck, which makes it fair. Moving on, we do have White Kyurem, the other huge forming beast right now. So we have Dragon Ice once again as the typing, and the ability is Turbo Blaze. This Pokemon can only be set as a form in a deck, meaning that the only way to make this happen is if you have the plate in your deck that allows you to change forms. Anyway, the effects of abilities of the battle opponent that increase or decrease attack damage are nullified, just like Black Kyurem. Also, this Pokemon can MP move over other Pokemon, and when this Pokemon is knocked out, it can change form to Kyurem without moving to the PC. If it does, and there are any of your Reshiram that have been excluded from the duel, move one of the Reshiram to the bench. So again, another way of just making sure that you still have board presence whether White Kyurem is knocked out or not. 4 size miss, I think it equals up to 8 actually, so something to keep in mind. And then it has its 1-star purple Draco Meteor, though I don't know this for sure, though I believe it might be the case. When you change forms into White Kyurem, hopefully Draco Meteor turns into 2-star purple. I can't speak to that because unfortunately I do not have a White Kyurem yet. Anyway, one other Pokemon on the field spins. If they spin a miss or a wide attack of 70 damage or more, they are knocked out. See, that's pretty cool because, I mean, obviously there are a great number of Pokemon in the game that have at least a somewhat level of miss. And on top of that, a lot of Pokemon have 70 damage or higher attack potentially, So, Draco Meteor, not that bad. Unfortunately, it's only 1 star, so it doesn't have that much priority against opponents. That's just an unfortunate fact of the matter. So, or matter of fact, I guess, if you will. But still, Draco Meteor has its potential. I mean, Flygon, whenever I get to land Draco Meteor, it's always a fun time. Anyway, let's move on. We have its wide attack, Ice Burn, 140 base damage, just like Black Kyurem, but a little different slightly. The battle opponent becomes burned. If the battle opponent has weight, the battle opponent is knocked out instead of this Pokemon. So again, another way to be able to keep your board presence, or at least be able to punish your opponents. Draco Meteor again, equaling up to 32, I do believe. Yeah, 32, so not bad. 4-point miss as well, and then Fusion Flare, 100 base damage, and if this Pokemon is not affected by a special condition, and any of your Pokemon on the field has the Fusion Bolt attack, exclude Pokemon that are knocked out by this attack from the duel. So, pretty cool to keep in mind. Let me see here, we do have Black Kyurem, so yeah, see if you're running Fusion Bolt, that's Black Kyurem you can use. So, again, if you have Black Kyurem and White Kyurem in your deck, you should be able to handle things pretty darn well. And then we have Kyurem, which I personally think is really cool. I know that there's other players right now in the game that don't see a lot of potential in this guy, but since I am someone that runs an Ice-type deck, or at least a Freezing-type deck, this kind of seems promising to me for a couple of reasons. Is this the best EX Pokemon in the game? Probably not, but I still have some fun thinking about potential with this guy. So again, the typing is Dragon Ice, and the ability is now Permafrost. If this Pokemon is not affected by a special condition, then the frozen condition of Pokemon within 2 steps of this Pokemon cannot be removed by tagging. So the only way that it can be removed in that case, so long as Kyurem is within 2 steps of that Pokemon, is if, I guess, it wins a battle. If it wins a battle, then of course the frozen condition will then go away. But you can't just tag, your opponent cannot just tag their Pokemon to be able to remove the freezing, which is pretty cool. Anyway, we do have a 4 size of miss, I think totaling up to 8 with its other miss. Yes, there it is. And then Fly is 3-star purple, as we know. And then it gets to land 1 to 2 steps away, jumping over the battle opponent. And then we have what I believe to be the strongest base damage of an Ice Beam in the game right now. And of course, if this Pokemon is knocked out, the battle opponent becomes frozen. So, really not that bad of a deal. I mean, it's going to be a little harder to knock out this guy, but if you do, you're going to end up frozen, and if you have another Kyurem nearby, then it's not going to be able to get unfrozen anytime soon. And on top of that, if you have a Suicune nearby, and it lands Sheer Cold on that frozen-type Pokemon, as you might know, that battle opponent will then be excluded from the duel. Not as easy to banish Pokemon with Suicune as it may be with Pokemon such as Altaria, but still another mode of doing so. And then we have Outrage, doing 150 base damage. This Pokemon becomes confused. Though a good point on this could be, if we look at this wheel here, see, the thing is, since Ice Beam is so huge, if you continue to land that, then if it's confused from Outrage, then you're going to continually land on Outrage after that, dealing a high amount of damage. So therefore, confusion ain't that really big of a deal, if you think about it. And then we do have Miss Size 4, and then a 1-star purple Glaciate, which I do kind of like. A little situational, but still fun, which says all opposing Pokemon on the field that are not Fire, Water, Ice, or Steel type spin. Attach MP-1 markers to those that spin white attacks. So, pretty cool. If you happen to do it to the same Pokemon twice in a row, that's -2 MP at that point. If 3 times in a row, -3. And then a 4th, pretty much Speed Form Deoxys won't be able to move anywhere at that point. Again, a little situational, but it's possible. It's just a fun way to be able to slow down your opponents. 1-star purple, and again, not that much priority, but it still has a chance to land and be effective. So I do like that. Kyurem, I want you teamed up with my Suicune and Mightyena deck and all that fun stuff, and it would be really fun. Maybe even have a Swampert in there because it has Ice Punch as well. So, again, little fun ideas. I don't think it would be the strongest, most effective deck, but it has its potential, I believe. Anyway, we do have our new Ultra Beast Kartana that says, at long last, an MP3 UB has range 2 in its first battle, which I think is where it's really effective. It is Grass Steel type, just like it is in Sun and Moon, with the ability Paper Sword. In this Pokemon's first battle, after moving to the field, it can attack Pokemon that are 2 steps away. When it does, this Pokemon's attacks have range 2, if it is knocked out, or if it knocks out a Pokemon with a cracked marker on it, that Pokemon, excluding Fire-type Pokemon, moves to the Ultra Space outside of the duel. So as long as Kartana is facing up against non-Fire-type Pokemon, you're going to be able to send them to the Ultra Space rather easily. So this has really good synergy with Scizor and Mega Scizor, obviously. They're the ones that started this whole cracked marker business. And so if you put those two with Kartana in the same deck, you can do some crazy stuff. And on top of that, Kartana could start sniping from range 2 on its first attack, or on its first turn from the bench, I believe it is. Yeah, on its first turn moving to the field from the bench, obviously. Then you can start sniping people from 2 steps away. And I believe, even if it loses that battle, since it's 2 steps away, it isn't actually going to get knocked out, because technically its battle opponent, so long as it doesn't have range 2 attacks, will not be able to knock it out because it can't reach, so to speak. That makes sense. So something cool, you get like a free turn, kind of like a Mimikyu, so to speak, at least on that first turn outside of the field. So pretty darn cool, and it's a 3 MP runner. Anyway, it has 2 gold attacks of 71 base damage each with a Vacuum Wave. Pretty darn cool. That's 32 size of gold attack, rivaling Mew and even stronger than Mew's Hypersonic as well. Miss size is 12, which is kind of huge, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, if you level this guy up to 10, which I'm not sure if it's necessary, but say if you were to, then that's only going to be size 4 by the end of it. And then it does have Ultra Blade, 61 base damage, and if there are any Pokemon in the Ultra Space, this damage is multiplied by the number of those Pokemon. So if you're sending Pokemon to the Ultra Space with Paper Sword, along with other Ultra Beast abilities and attacks, then Ultra Blade can start doing monumental amounts of damage. That about does it for Kartana, though. We still have a couple more Pokemon to talk about. We do have Laurentiis, our last EX Pokemon from this set. Grass type only, and with the ability Green Power. And I like Laurentiis quite a bit. This Pokemon cannot be paralyzed, already a plus. But if this Pokemon is on the field and is not affected by a special condition, your Grass type Pokemon deal +2 damage for each Grass type Pokemon on the field, totaling it up to 12 if you happen to have that many on the field at the time. So pretty cool, +12 damage, potentially speaking. Pretty great. You can't really beat that. Soul Blade is 120 base damage, and if the battle opponent has weight, the battle opponent is knocked out instead of this Pokemon. So there's already synergy there with Black Kyurem, White Kyurem, and so on and so forth. I do believe that is the case. It does have Mist totaling up to 16, but you can knock that down to 8 if you level this guy up with Carmonite enough. Petal Blizzard does 90 damage. All opposing Pokemon on the field spin. Those that spin a miss are knocked out. So let's just think about that, guys. If Petal Blizzard lands, and say if Laurentiis might get knocked out, then every Pokemon on your opponent's side of the field that spins miss are then knocked out as well. So that is pretty freaking insane, if you ask me. It's just a really cool way to clear the board, and if you happen to have some runners on your side of the field, advance, advance, advance. That's all I can say. Bum rush, really. And then here we go, we have Cacturne, our first rare of this new set. It is Grass Dark type, as you may know from Gen 3. Ability is Sneaky Steps. If there are no opposing Pokemon within 2 steps of this Pokemon has MP3 while on the field. So that's pretty cool. You get to just kind of sneak up on people, just like Cacturne is kind of known to. As Bullet Punch, or I'm sorry about that, Sucker Punch. Gold attack, 50 damage, not too bad. Bullet Seed, there it is, 20 times damage, and it multiplies itself for every time it lands on Bullet Seed until it does not anymore. So lands 5 times, you're doing 100 damage right there, so not too bad. And a miss size of only 4, so get this guy up to level 5, no Moss miss, not too bad. Let's go on, we have Tangrowth, which I was wondering when it would make it into the game. Here we are with Entangle. If there are no Pokemon next to this Pokemon, instead of an MP move, you can force an opposing Pokemon that is 2 steps away from this guy to spin. If you do, this Pokemon gains weight 3. Though, if the spin results in a white attack, the opposing Pokemon comes 1 step closer and gains weight. So if you want to draw your opposing Pokemon towards this guy, maybe get it away from your goal point or an entry point, what have you, whatever makes you have some sort of advantage, Tangrowth can kind of help with that along with using Entangle. So kind of neat. Energy Ball is a 1-star purple. while the battle opponent is on the field, all of that Pokemon's blue attacks that are not dodge become misses. So this could rival Tapu's, this can rival Ultra Beast, stuff like that. This can I mean, you think about it, it can take care of Sceptile, Mega Sceptile, Mars Stomp, Mega Mars Stomp with Attractors, Rhyperior, Mew, so on and so forth. The potential is crazy. Again, although the only problem is that it only does have 1 star, so not the most priority, unless you level it up from Tangela, which then gives you 2 stars. It could be worse. Power Whip does 100 base damage, and the battle opponent gains weight 3, and then Sleep Powder, as you might know, battle opponent falls asleep, which can then be a 2-star purple. Moving on, then we do have Fomantis right here as well. The ability Greenhouse. This Pokemon cannot be paralyzed. If this Pokemon is on the field and is not affected by a special condition, your MP1 Grass-type Pokemon on the field gain plus 1 MP. So that goes with Tangrowth. Not too bad, actually. Grass Knot does 20 base damage, and if the battle opponent's attack is 120 damage or higher, the opponent is knocked out instead of this Pokemon. So that in itself is pretty crazy that Fomantis can just own gigantic Pokemon if it's situationally put. So Synthesis does 1-star purple while they are on the field. Your Grass-type Pokemon deal plus 20 damage to the battle opponent. So pretty cool, really. I mean, not only is Fomantis able to take down gigantic Pokemon, it can also help your other grass types be able to do so as well, potentially. And then it has another size 20 Grass Knot as well, again, being able to knock out those large attackers. And then 12 Mists to boot. So all in all, Fomantis might be able to easily evolve into Laurentiis, given the right situation. So pretty cool. And then we do have Tangela, probably the last guy we'll cover in this set, but let's take a look real quick. Regenerator is its ability, and if one of your other Pokemon is knocked out and this Pokemon is in the PC, this Pokemon moves to the bench. So cool. Bind, 10 damage, spin again until bind does not land. Damage is multiplied by the number of bind spins. And also, the battle opponent gains weight X, where X is the number of bind spins. So, not a bad way to go about it. So even if bind causes you to get knocked out, at least you can, potentially have your Pokemon wait for several turns. And then there's 2-star Constrict. Battle opponent now has weight. So again, this does have synergy with Pokemon that are punishing your battle opponents that have weight. And then we have Zekrom and Reshiram, which are, of course, back in the game. We have Trico, Decidueye, Articuno. That's about it for like the new major Pokemon that are in the game. Pretty exciting if you ask me. Let me know which Pokemon are your favorite from this set, though. Are you looking forward to building a Kyurem deck, potentially evolving it, form changing it into Black Kyurem or White Kyurem? Do you like Kyurem just as it is? What are your thoughts on Kartana and the other new Pokemon in the set? Let me know. I look forward to your opinions. Let's start the conversation in the comments. Have a great one, though, guys, and be on the lookout for the new opening video that we did to celebrate update 6.0, because I had a fun time. There were some pretty cool pulls in there. At least I gotta say, I think they were. Anyway, guys, have a great one. Thank you so much for watching. Later!